Hey everyone, Linda here, coming back at you with another video today. Welcome back to AdoreR. Hope everyone's doing fine and staying safe out there. Coming to you today with my June, another portion of my June and July wrap up, because I still had some books from June that I didn't get to go over in my June wrap up. That was like a part one, so I'm going to add them to this video. So it's going to be a June July wrap up. So I got a lot of books here, so I'm just going to get started. Hopefully I can get through all these without having a long video. I'm going to try not to do a long synopsis or explaining the book. I'm just going to go over them, let you know what I rated them. And if I can remember some of what happened in there, I'll give you a little bit of that. But some of these I probably can't hardly remember. Let's get started here. First book up I'm going to go over the books that I read for the historical readathon. Yeah, I know that was back in the end of June and the beginning of August. That's when they had the historical readathon. So I'm going to let you know I did finish a couple of books for that that I had on my list here. I think I had her Bridegroom bought and paid for. If not, I put it on there because I think I've told you all before that I like Alice Coldbreath and she writes historicals. I subscribed to her newsletter, and I got an email saying that this book was out, so I went ahead and read this for the historical readathon. And this was on Conrad Kinogren and Amy Anatel, I think that's what her name is. And most of Alice Coldbreath books, they set in medieval times, and most of them are dealing with jousting, because most of her male characters, they be on the jousting field, and this was no different. And usually her books would deal with marriage or convenience. The female character, Amy, her father is a self-made man, and he wants, they always want their daughter marrying to aristocrats, looking for a duke or earl or something like that. So that's what happened here. Conrad, he is a impoverished aristocrat because was he Irish? I don't forget what he is, but in this kingdom where he's from, I don't know if it's from Ireland, I don't know what part it is, because this is a made-up kingdom. Whatever it is, his where he was from didn't win against this kingdom. Let's put it like that. And so he's on hard time right now, but he is I think he's a earl or something. And he's on hard time, and he's been jousting to make money. But Amy, she sees him on the jousting field, and let's just say she become infatuated with him, and she calls herself falling in love with him. And she has a sister, so she goes to her father and tell her father that her and her sister want to, and there's another guy in here that her sister kind of like, but her sister, she just going along with Amy because Amy's one of those, she got a strong personality, and her sister's trying to say no, but Amy just doing what she want to do. And so she go and tell her father that, she give her father the name of these two guys, and her father arranges for her and her sister to marry these two guys from the both of them are titled guys, and both of them joust. And so her father does this arranged marriage between her and Conrad. So it's about them because she has feeling for him, but he doesn't have any feeling for her when this starts off. And that would kind of, as it went on, he was a little bit too harsh for me, this main character, because I could deal with the main male character being kind of cold and standoffish or whatever, but he was doing a little bit too much. And in the end, when he did start to soften or whatever, I still couldn't get into it because it just went on a little bit too long before the end of this book, where I couldn't really get into the main character. This is the only book I've read by Alice Coldbreath that I'm going to rate a 3.5 stars. I give it a 3.5 stars. I did enjoy the story, but I just couldn't get into the characters like I usually do in her books because of the male character. He was just doing a little bit too much for me. I love Alice Coldbreath writing. I enjoyed the story, but I just couldn't get into the main characters in this one, and I gave this a 3.5 star. I hope I explained that because I'm not good at explaining these books, but there you go. Next up, I have the rest of these books are for the historical readathon. I finished off 4 of these books. Next, I read The Gambler's Heart. This is by Gayle Wilson, and this is a Harlequin historical. And this was kind of like a Beauty and the Beast because he is, I think it's the left side of his face. He's been burnt when he was in the war, the Napoleon Wars, I guess. And he got burnt on the side of his face. And this is about, and he owns he's in England now, and he's French. And he was fighting in the Napoleon Wars when he got hurt, but he's French, and he has moved to England because when they were in the war, he helped this Englishman out. They supposed to have been fighting against each other, but I think he helped this guy escape or something. And he left France. He had to leave his hometown, and he's been living in England. And he has bought a gambling hall, and it's doing very well. So he's a gambler because he owns his own gambling hall. And he meets Madeline. His name is Jean-Luc Gavarro, and the female name is Madeline Fairchild. And the way they get married, this is also, I don't know if you want to say it's a marriage of convenience, because the way they get hooked up is her brother has been gambling. Yeah, one of those. And he loses a lot of money, and they're already on hard times. And so when he loses all his money and he loses it to Jean-Luc, and he gives Jean-Luc a necklace or something, and Jean-Luc takes the necklace and he try to go and, sell it or whatever, and find out that the necklace is fake. So he come back to Madeline's brother and come back to the club and tell him he gave me this fake necklace. Her brother is embarrassed because he want to keep up appearances for appearances sake, that he still got money. And Madeline's brother goes to her and tells that go and talk to Jean-Luc, maybe he'll like you, and you can get him to tell everybody that necklace wasn't fake, and so my reputation won't be ruined. And at first Madeline like, what? But her brother told that the guy got faces scarred because in the beginning of this, Jean-Luc and Madeline has met each other before, and they meet each other at a tavern. So she already met him, and she kind of like had feeling for, because she thinks she had dreamed about him in her dream of the perfect guy that she wanted to marry. And they've already met. So her brother described what Jean-Luc looked like. She said, oh, it hits her that this is the guy that I met in this tavern. So she goes and visits Jean-Luc, and it turns out to be him. They come to an agreement that she will become his wife, and he will let his brother off the hook, and it goes from there. I really enjoyed this. It was just, they had a lot of, how you want to say, if they would only communicate with each other, it wouldn't have been all this controversy going on. But I enjoyed the book. I gave it a, what did I give it this? I gave this 4 stars. And another thing, this is the only book I ever read where the hero get hurt all the time. I think he got stabbed. He already got burnt. His face got burnt. Then he gets stabbed. Then he gets shot. I was like, what, Jean-Luc? I was like, what is going on? I was like, yeah. Accident prone. Yeah, that's the word I was trying to. He was accident prone. Every time he turned around, something would happen. He the only one, a hero I read about that he was always getting hurt. But I did enjoy it. I gave this 4 stars, and this is book number 2 in the what series is this called? I went back and bought the other 2 books in this series. Oh, this is the Heart's Desire series, called book number 1 is Heart's Desire. Book number 2 is Heart's Wager, and book number 3 is Gambler's Heart. So this is book number 3. So I did go back and buy book number 1 and 2, and I'm going to read that because I did enjoy her writing. I did enjoy the story. And I wouldn't start at the beginning reading this all over again, but I had some favorite parts in here that I would go in here and find and read again. But I really enjoyed it. And if you like category romances, because this is a Harlequin historical, I think you will enjoy this story. I did. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. Next I have an Elizabeth Holt, To Desire a Devil. And it does have a step back. Look at that step back. This was on, let's see here, Renard St. Auburn and Beatrice Corning. And this is in a series. What series is this? This is the final book in the Legend of the Four Soldier series. And I did go back and get the other, I think it's 4 books in this series. I think I went and got the other 3 books in the series because I enjoyed it that much. But I did give this a 3.5. I gave this a high 3.5 stars. This is on, but you don't want to read this book, the last book in the series, because this wraps up everything, and because there's a mystery throughout the books of who, because what his name is, what was his name? Reynard. Reynard was in the French and Indian War. They were over in America, I think, and his unit got attacked, and they think that somebody is a spy in the unit, and they told where they were going to be at, and they got attacked by the Indians, and Renard got kidnapped by the Indians, and he been living with the Indians for a while, a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, I can't remember. But anyway, he finally escapes and end up making his way back to England, and now he wants to get his title back, because his title, when everybody thought he was dead, his title went to a distant uncle or something like that. And the uncle that has the place, Beatrice, is his niece from his wife side of the family. So she's really not kin to Reynard. So they're really not kin to each other, because his uncle's wife, sister, is Beatrice's mother. So, but both of her mother and her uncle's wife has passed away. So she's staying there with her uncle, and Reynard shows up once they're having a party, and Reynard shows up and passes out, and they take him upstairs, and he tells them who he is, and he's kind of like on the wild side now, because he's been living with the Indians for a while. So, and it goes from him his uncle trying to stop him from taking over, because his uncle said he done lost his mind, because it don't take much for Reynard to pull out his knife on anybody. And his uncle thinks he's done lost it. And Beatrice, she's always had a crush on him, because she saw his picture hanging in the portrait room, I guess, and she fell in love with that portrait, and she always kind of like had a crush on him. So it's going to be about them two getting together, and her trying to help him establish himself again in society, and trying to keep him out of trouble from losing it, and him also getting back with his friend and trying to find out who this spy was that they think gave out information concerning their unit, causing their unit to get attacked. So if you don't want to find out all that, you need to start at book 1 in this. And what is book 1? Let's see here. I think book 1 is To Taste Temptation. Book 2 is To Seduce a Sinner. And book 3 is To Beguile a Beast. So I did go back and get these 3 books. I'm going to read them because I did enjoy this, even though I gave this a high 3.5 stars. It wasn't anything special. You know, I'm always talking about those special moments. Well, I didn't have any of those special moments. It was okay. I wouldn't like really, I didn't have any special characters that I really, you know, enjoyed that I would like to go back and read this again. It didn't have those special moments where I would go back and read this again. No. So I gave this a high 3.5 stars. And then I got Liz Carlyle, One Touch of Scandal. And this also had a step back. I enjoyed this too. I think I gave this 3.5 stars. I'm just going to say I gave this 3.5 stars. I'm going to say it's a high 3.5 stars. It's just a 3.5 stars. And I also gave this 3.5 stars. This is on Grace Gautier and Lucifer Rutvin. And this kind of had paranormal, kind of like some paranormal stuff going on. Because I think he got the second sight or something. And he can read people. And then you got Grace, who is a governess. And this all started when the guy she worked for, she's the governess for his children. Him and her has got engaged. And and her fiance ends up getting killed in the study. And the cops think she did it. And she goes to, Lucifer hangs out at this club, and this is where a lot of other people with kind of powers and stuff hang out. They got this club, and she goes there looking for this a man that used to be friends with her father. She goes looking for him there, but he's not there, and that's where she run into Lucifer, and that's where they get to know each other, and he talks to her, and then he kind of start having feeling for her, and he want to help her out, but he don't want to get involved with anybody because because like I said, he got this second side. It's something that he really don't want to have, but he got it. I think his sister has it too. It just run through his whole family. And I enjoyed the story. And this is another one. I didn't have any there were no special moments in here for me that make me want to go back and read this again. So I think I read this before, but I couldn't remember it. So yeah, see, that's right there. I think because I like Liz Carlyle, and I cannot remember this book to save my life, but I do. The guy that she was looking for, I do remember his story because he's going to end up going with Lucifer's sister. They got their own book. I might go back and read that again. I might go back and reread all these again because I need to get rid of some of these books. So I did read this. I gave this 3.5 stars. It was okay. If you like kind of like a mystery, romantic kind of like a paranormal going on. It has some of everything going on in this book. So if you don't mind that and you like that kind of situation, I would recommend it. It was a good story. It just didn't have those special moments for me that make me want to go back and read this again. One Touch of Scandal by Liz Carlyle. And this is in a series. I don't know what book this is in the series. And I can't even pronounce. It's in French. I forgot to mention that Grace is part French. I can't remember what this series is. What is this series called? Brotherhood of the Golden Cross. But if you look it up, it's in French. It's Fraternitas, Aureae, Crucis series. But that means Brotherhood of the Golden Cross. And this is book number 1. Next, I got Lady Ruthless by Scarlett Scott. This was also, like I said, all these books were on my historical readathon, and I'm proud of myself. I did finish my books, and this is book 1 in the Notorious Ladies of London. I got this out of my Romance Reveal book box, and I had put this on my TBR, but when they did the historical readathon, I said, let me go ahead and read this. And this is on Calliope Manning and Justin Vaughn. He's an earl, and Calliope, I think her brother is a duke. Because mostly Scarlett Scott. This is another author that I really I've just discovered, and I've really been enjoying her books. And this is book 1 in the I think I mentioned that Notorious Ladies of London. And I do have book 2 in this series. I forgot what the name of it is. I think I went over it before on this channel. And then so when I got this, I said I'm gonna buy the whole series. So I'm going to do a book haul because my birthday was August the 1st. So I got quite a few books for my birthday, and I got the other 4 books in this series for my birthday. So I'll show you the other 4 books that are in this. I think it's 6 books in the series. I already had book 1 and book 2. And so I just got the other 4 books in the series. So I'll show it to you. I really enjoyed this. I think I gave this a 4 stars. This was on Calliope Manning and Justin Vaughn. Now this is, you got some kidnapping going on because Justin is on hard time. He's another impoverished earl, and Calliope, her brother, and I think I mentioned that her brother is a duke, but Calliope also has been writing under a pen name at this newspaper where she do like little novellas or novels, or she writes stuff, but it's scandalous stuff, and she writing about Justin because she thinks Justin killed her brother, and then she thinks Justin also killed his wife because her brother was cheating with Justin's wife. So she think that Justin got rid of both of them. And so she been going to this newspaper writing scandalous stuff about him, ruining his reputation, because he's trying to find a rich wife, because like I said, he's on hard times, so he's been trying to find a rich wife. So when he finds out who been writing this stuff about him, because he's been trying to make it his mission to find out who it is, he find out that it's Lady Calliope Manning. And when he find that out, he kidnaps her and tell her that since because he was engaged to a rich I don't know what her father, I think her father was a self-made man, the lady he was engaged to. But her dad broke off their engagement when all this stuff started coming out about Justin. So Justin like, okay, so you ruined my marriage plan, so now you're going to take her place and you're going to marry me. And she was like, I don't think so. And he was like, I do think so. And because he tell her if she don't marry him, he's going to ruin her reputation and let it know that she's the one who been writing all this scandalous stuff, because they're going to like, how does she know about all this stuff that's been going on? And it going to ruin, it didn't take too much back in those days to ruin your reputation. So then they're going to go from there. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I'll go back and read some of this in here. It has some moments in here that I would go back and read. I really enjoyed it, and she has some beautiful covers on her books. And this is Lady Ruthless by Scarlett Scott. If you haven't read any Scarlett Scott and you like historicals, I highly recommend. Yeah, her books do have high steam in them. They're very steamy. Let me tell you that now. Very steamy. And if you don't mind a little steam and a good read, check out Lady Ruthless by Scarlett Scott. Highly recommend it. Next I've also been raving about Georgia LeClaire. I read Blind Reader Wanted, and this is my first book by her that I read. I gave this a 3.5 stars. I gave it a high 3.5 star because something happened in here and I was like, what? It threw me off. And what caught me was it said Blind Reader Wanted. So the female in here, Laura, she's blind. And then you have Kit, who he's living out in the woods by himself. He take care of a bunch of wolves out there. So the wolves have become his friends because he's been taking care of them and feeding them out in the woods and stuff. And he wants, I forgot why he wanted the person to read to him to be blind. I don't forget why he wanted that. I forgot why he wanted, but he put an ad in the paper that he wanted a blind person to read to him. And Laura answered the ad, and she goes out there, out in the middle of the woods to nowhere, and they get to talking, and then they start catching feelings for each other, because she's another one. If you like high steam in your book, some steaming is going on. It might be a little over top steaming is going on up in here. I would recommend this. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, something happened in here that brought it down to a 3.5 star. I give it a high 3.5 star, but I really enjoyed it. So once I read this book is the one that got me falling down the rabbit hole reading a lot of Georgia LeClaire. This is my first book by her. I really enjoyed this book. And there's some parts in here that I would go back and read, even though I did give it a 3.5 stars. I just didn't see that coming, what happened. I'm like, where did that come from? But I did enjoy it. Like I said, I went back and I've read quite a few of her books since then, since I read this one. And this cover caught my attention. The title and this cover, look at this cover, caught my attention. I really enjoyed this. I give it 3.5 stars. A high 3.5 stars. So if you don't mind a little steaminess, a new concept like a blind. You don't have too many female characters that are blind, and I like that when you have like the female character, either she can't hear something, or she's semi-blind, or something's wrong with the female character, and she finds love. Yeah, I'm all in. So I really enjoyed this. 3.5 stars. A high 3.5 star. Next I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I really enjoyed this. I gave this 4 stars. This is on Chloe Brown and Raymond Morgan. This is an interracial romance. I really enjoyed this. It's Chloe, she got some kind of what's wrong with her? She have like chronic pain sometimes. I forgot what they call it. and she had been staying at home with her parents or whatever, but she finally decided, like, you know, I got to get out and live my life. So she moved out and got her own apartment, and that's where she meets Redmond, because he's like the superintendent there. And at first they can't get along because he thinks she's stuck up and stuff, and she thinks he's too. So this is like, she's the uptight one, and he's the sunshine hero. The sunshine, you got the sunshine hero and the grumpy female. It's backward, because you be the grumpy male and the sunshine female. Well, this is the grumpy the grumpy female and the sunshine hero. And I really, really enjoyed this. How did they get together? Did he come in? I think did he come and fix something for her? Like I said, it's been a while since I read it. I forgot how it was. But anyway, they end up together. Oh, but they end up because she want him to, because she does a list that she all the stuff she want to do. And she gets him to help her go down this list that she have, because she said she want to ride a motorcycle, and he got a motorcycle, so he carries her riding on his motorcycle, and it just goes from there. And then eventually they end up falling for each other, and I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4-star. Get a life, Chloe Brown. But there was nothing here that made me want to, those special moments that made me want to go back and read this again. Did I write on here? I think I wrote on here what did I give this? I think I gave it, yep, I gave it 4 stars. But it was nothing I want to go back and read again. But I really, really enjoyed the story. I enjoy her writing. And I have the other 2 books in the series. This is in a series 2. This is on the Brown, it's going to be the Brown Sisters series. So I got to read book 2 and book 3, but I gave this a 4-star, a high 3.5 star, 4-star. But it didn't have those really, really special moments what make me want to go back and read this again. So I would probably want to go back and read this, but I did enjoy it. Highly, highly recommend it. Get a life, Chloe Brown. If you haven't read it, check it out. A contemporary, and this is book 1 in the Brown Sisters series. Next, I read The Rivalry by Nikki Sloane. I gave this a high 3.5. I think I gave this a high 3.5 star. This was on Kayla McCartney and Jay Harris. And the rivalry is Jay goes to college and he plays football for Michigan. And I think Kayla, she's in college too, and she is the cheerleader for the Ohio football team. And it's a rivalry because her family are big Ohio college football fans. I mean, they are fanatics, and she knows that her family is a fanatic. So when Jay and her meet at their friends, Jay is friend with her friend is getting married, and Jay is friend with her friend's husband, and they meet at their wedding. But she don't know who Jay is. And I said to myself, your family is a fanatic. You ought to know who this guy is. I'm sure that threw me off, because I was like, if you're such a big football fanatic, Ohio football fanatic, and you know, and Michigan is your biggest rival, you know who is on the football team. That would threw me out, because I was like, how does she not know who this is? But let's just go along with the book. She didn't know who he was. And they have a connection at the wedding. And they get I think she told him to put his phone number in her phone or something. But when he put it in there, he must have put it in there wrong, because she didn't have his number, because she wanted to get in touch with him. And then she finds out, he told her that he hangs out at this bar all the time. So she goes over to look for him. And she goes to this bar, and when she go in there, she see all this Michigan stuff hanging up, and then she realized, what? And he's in there, and he sees her. He come over, start talking to her, and that's when she started getting into it with some of the customers in there, because I forgot what happened that they found out. I don't know if she says something, or I don't know what happened, but she gets her and a couple of guys in the bar start going at it, because like I said, she's a big Ohio fan and she can't stand Michigan. And Jay takes her outside for something happens, and she asks him what his, you know, what his full name is, and that's when he tell her his name is Jay Harris, and then she realized, you what? So it don't bother him. He's not a big fanatic, you know. He just like playing football. He's not a big fanatic, you know. He has feeling for her. He like her. He don't think it will be a problem, but she know how her family is, and she was like, no, we can't be together, we can't see each other, but they end up sneaking around and seeing each other and stuff like that. I enjoyed it. I gave it a high 3.5 star, and it's The Rivalry by Nikki, Sloane. There's nothing here to make me want to go back and read it again. Like I said, I was like, how did she didn't know he was on the Michigan team? Yeah, that threw me off. But here you go, The Rivalry by Nikki Sloane. I gave it a high 3.5 star. And this cover, yeah. And next I have Grace Draven, Entreat Me. And this is like a Beauty and the Beast telling, Entreat Me. Because the male in this has been cursed. And his name is Ballard, and the female name is Louvienne, I think it is. And it starts out with Louvienne, and she has a sister, and her sister has been seeing this guy. He's in town, so her sister is seeing this guy, and they're having problem with one of the guys in town who wants to marry her sister, because her sister, she always said her sister is more beautiful than her, and I think she's younger too. They got the same dad, but I don't think they have the same mother. I think her sister tell her that she wants to leave with the guy or something, or I forgot what happened. Yeah, it's been a while since I read this one too. But anyway, her sister ends up leaving with the guy that's been courting her to get away from the main evil guy in this book. And she ends up going back because when Louvienne wakes up, she finds out that her sister has left with this guy. So she ends up going after her sister, and that's where she meets Ballard, because Ballard is the guy's father that her sister ran away with Ballard's son to the castle. And the castle has been enchanted because everything, Ballard's wife, before she died, she couldn't stand Ballard, and she put a curse on him and a curse on her son too. Yeah, it was all messed up. And so he has been slowly turning into this beast because he took all of the curse on himself away from his son. But his son still has something going on because he always have to return to the castle at a certain part of the year because he go through a few changes too, but he's not as bad as his dad. So Louvienne ends up following them to the castle, and that's where she meets Ballard, and it goes from there. It was okay. I enjoy reading. Grace Draven is one of my favorite authors too, but this book, it was okay. I gave this a 3.5 stars. 4 star. I give it a 4 star. 3.5, high 3.5 star, 4 star. Probably when I put it on Goodreads, it'll be a 4 star. But it didn't do. The female character, she was a little bit over the top for me. She was a little bit over the top for me, and that's all I'm gonna say on this. But if you like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, because Grace Draven, and she's a great writer. I love how she writes her stories. I love the story, but I just couldn't get into the main characters too much. It was okay. I would recommend it if you like that Beauty and the Beast telling. And most of this is going to be set at the castle with Ballard and his son and Louvienne and her sister. Her sister is there with them, so they're all 4 of them in the castle. But it's mostly still going to be about Louvienne and Ballard. You hear like little snippets between her sister and Ballard's son, but it don't go in depth with them. It's just mostly going to be about Louvienne and Ballard and them getting together and falling for each other. I enjoyed the story, but it's not one of my favorite of hers. So I give this a high 3.5, high 4 star. And this is Grace Draven, Entreat Me. And I have something else. I think that's all for now. I probably will come back and do, I think I have a few more books that I read in July. For July. Maybe that'll be a July, August wrap up. Or I'll come back and do, because I think I had maybe 6 more books, but that's all I'm going to do on this video because this video is already long. I think I had about 6 more books that I read for, or maybe 5 or 6 that I read for July. And I'll come back and do a little wrap up on those later. But that's all I have for now. Until next time, keep reading those romances and I'll see you all later. Bye.